I've got this old deck here, and you can see the wood on this end is, it's just kind of a little bit dirty. It's got some moss growing on it, but it's in fairly good shape. But over here it gets much worse. Some of it's just falling apart. The part that doesn't have holes in it is still pretty eroded. But when we tear the boards up, we're in the process of tearing all these off so we can replace them. They're okay on the bottom side. You can see that's their one. That's the bottom, and it's in pretty good shape. But the top sides, again, are in various stages of decay. But I think these are going to be good enough. Most of them, we're going to have enough to make some planter beds, raised planter beds out of these. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we've got some boards laid out here in the area where the wife wants the raised planter beds to be. We got some boards there. We got some boards there, and we got another big pile of boards around the corner. So, like I said, we got plenty of boards to work with. All right, so one of the first things I need to do is get some tools out here. We're gonna get a miter saw out here and the air compressor so we can cut some boards and nails and nail them together. All right, so as you can see, we got our head compressor out there, we got our nail gun, we got our chop saw, and we got some boards. Now, I was thinking I was just going to take these boards and nail them together, but you can see I got these all lined up. But over here on this end, you can see these are not all lined up. They're all different lengths. And I went and checked the house, and sure enough, the deck was not the same width all the way down the house. It was at an angle. So that means I'm going to have to come up with a length and then just cut these boards to where they're all the same length, and then that way I can nail them together. All right, so we got a tape measure out here on one of the shorter boards, and you can see here that it does not quite go to 12 feet. I got 11. This is 11 and a half feet right here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all these at 138. That way I know they'll all be the same length. And it's easier to cut them a little short than it is to try to stretch them boards, because stretching boards is hard. Alright, so Lori decides she wants these 4 high, so that's going to be 22 and a half inches. I'm going to have to cut my uprights to hold these all together. And we've got some 4x4s and some landscaping timbers and stuff that we're going to use for that. So I'll need to cut some of those, and then we'll need to nail these together. Now, I'm just sitting on sawhorses here, and the good side is going to be the outside, and the decayed side will be on the inside, so it can continue to decay if it wants to. And that means we're going to have to flip these over to nail these together, and I'm going to have to come up with some way to keep the boards together while I nail them. So I'll get some clamps out here so I can clamp the uprights on there, nail them together, and then we'll start assembling these. Alright, so I just cut that one at 22 and a half, and the remainder of this is only slightly less than 21 inches. But that's okay. It doesn't have to go the whole 22 and a half. So this one here will be just fine for using for one of them. Alright, so I want to show you something here. I got this 4x4 we're going to use to hold these together, but you see I got this big knot right here, and I don't want to have to nail into that, so I'm going to make sure that I orient that to where it's going to be on the inside of the thing when I nail it on here. Now again, this is going to be my outside, so this board's going to fit up underneath here like that, which means now that knot is on the inside, and I'm not trying to nail into it, because we'll have that up here. Now I've got the same thing, got a problem up here. I got a big knot, but it's on half the board, so either way I'm going to kind of be nailing into a knot, but I think I'd rather avoid this one more than avoid that one up there. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so since this is 11.5 foot long, when I fill this up with dirt, it's going to have a tendency to bow out, so I'm going to put 2 more of these uprights in here, and then that way when I get it together, I'm going to nail those. I'm going to put some boards crossways in between the sides and nail those together so that it doesn't bow out. Alright, so I want 2 of these on here, so what I did was I took the length of my board. What I did was I took the length of my board, which is 138 inches, and so since I'm putting 2 on here, I would have 3 sections. A section before the first one, a section after, in between the first and second one, and then a section in between the second and the end of the board. So I divided my 138 by 3, so 3 goes into 13 4 times, which is 12, and then 3 goes into 12 6 times, so I ended up with 46. And I can check my math if I want to. 46 plus 46 equals 92, plus 46 equals 138. So I got 1, 2, 3 46-inch sections, which ends up making my 138-inch board evenly divided into 3. So that's where we're going to put our uprights on. Alright, so that is one side of one box done, and then we'll make 3 more of these. Alright, so now that we got 4 sides, we need to build 4 ends, and Winch Lorry wants these 4 feet wide, so we're just going to cut a bunch of 4 foot length boards, and we'll be ready to put these together. Alright, so we got 4 of these cut, 4 foot long. I'm going to go ahead and put one of these in the center. Not so much because I'm going to tie it to anything and keep it from bowing out, but it'll give a little bit more strength, but it will also keep those 4 boards together for us while we pick them up and then put them on the end, so to make it a little bit easier to work with, as we'll just be nailing this all on in one piece instead of 4 individual boards and wrestling around in the mud with that. Alright, so we got 4 sides and 4 ends made. So now it's just a matter of lifting these up and nailing them together. Alright, so now that we've got these done, again, these are 138 inches, so 11.5 feet by 4 foot. But when I'm going to go down there, I've got a field. It's hard to see through the trees, but it's a field down there that one of the local farmers have been farming for years. And when I bought the property, I said, I don't need it farmed. So just sitting down there, I'm going to go scrape up dirt from that, and I'm going to put in these boxes. But before I do that, remember I put those boards, those uprights in there so that I could nail something back and forth across there between the 2 so that they don't bow out when I fill them full of dirt. So we're going to take some measurements and then cut boards to length for those. I could just go with a 4 foot long board. Well, actually I couldn't, because my 4 foot's from the outside to the outside, so it'd be a little bit less, but there might be some natural bow in some of these boards, and so it's just easier to just measure it and cut it than it is to measure it and then try to get it to fit if it's a little shorter or a little long. Alright, so we got those cut. Those end up being between 45 and 45.5 inches each. A little bit of variance, but not much. And I'm going to put one on the left, one on the right, one low, one high, and that should keep it from bowing out for at least a little while.